Okay, I'll let you in on the cold, hard truth about learning foreign languages, which is it can be much easier than what you think. It can be much more difficult than what you think. What does it mean? It means that you have to see your learning in the short run and in the long run. Short run, first months and first 2-3 years. Long run, from the third, fourth years onward. In the short run, we have people commonly have a high expectations, and for the most part, this is expectations are confuted, so to speak, are denied, are broken by the hard reality that it takes much more time than what we think for us to learn a foreign language. First, the word learn is kind of misleading. Nobody completely learns a foreign language. Nobody knows completely knows even their own native language. It happens to everybody that somebody that speaks your own language, not a dialect, not a different dialect, but from your own community that uses words that you don't know. Obviously, we don't know the whole dictionary. We don't have knowledge over every bloody word because some words we don't use it. It didn't happen for us given what we speak about, what kind of books or newspapers or website we read and people we deal with. It never happened. Obviously, if I am into guitars, I know certain words, technical words, and even a native speaker sometimes doesn't know. Second thing, sometimes we think we know the language because we don't know what we don't know. It means that we are not aware of the amount of things that we, at a certain point of our language learning or path, we should know. We reach a certain plateau, and from that point it's very difficult to learn new words because it's easy to shoot an animal when he is in a herd. Everything is new. Then it's more difficult to learn new words when you know many common words, and you have to adopt a new strategy to broaden your vocabulary. The first thing is that obviously some languages are easier for us. Similar language, the same so to speak, kin languages. Like you speak English, there are not many, but it's easier to learn French or German or similar languages. I would say Dutch, German, French are quite easy. Italian and Spanish are a little more difficult. I don't know, grammar-wise, French is a little more difficult. But all in all, given that the many words sound in English come from French, even if the pronunciation has changed a lot, I would say, let's say Italian, French, and Spanish, and German. German is a more grammar is quite difficult. It has declinaisons. Italian has conjugate, and so French and Spanish conjugate verbs where we have only masculine and feminine. We don't have neutral. Let's say that level 1 of difficulty. from the easiest. Then you have kind of, I would say Italian is a little more easier than German, in spite of the fact that English is a German language. Then there are other languages that are objectively not that difficult, but they are completely different. I'd say Greek is overrated as a Greek, modern Greek at least, not ancient Greek. It's not that difficult. Obviously, it's more difficult than a language that is very similar to our language. So, you can, let's dispense with similar languages that give you a leg up, help. Let's say Turkish, that's why I faced Turkish, Russian, I don't know, other Slavic languages. I'd say level 2 or level 3, I cannot say, but to me are quite difficult. Let's start from this. Quite difficult, but not extremely difficult. Let's dispense with all the writing system of Chinese or Japanese, which is quite complicated, more the Chinese, anyway, as far as I know. So we shouldn't start from our spoiled attitude that, yeah, more or less I understand 1/3, 1/4 of the roots of the words, and if I read it written, I can get many words, and with a little bit of knowledge of some other words and grammar, in a year I have a working knowledge of the language. That doesn't happen with Turkish. That doesn't happen with Russian. That just happens with 99% of other languages. There are even languages that, okay, I'll say if you already know English, you have a head start. But anyway, if you speak an isolated language of Albanian, Greek, yeah, mother, mitera, 1, 2, ena, dio, tria, three, tria, okay, it's an Indo-European language. But, so, and you bump into those difficulties for the first time. Oh, I don't have a knack for languages. Some people have a flair, a facility. No. You have a brain like another next person brain. Okay? So, if you don't make it, either you're jumping the gun. You expect more result than you can objectively obtain in that amount of time, given the time you have. So, you need more time every day, or you need more time generally speaking. So, I have this amount of, let's think that there is a natural, even if you study 8 hours per day, your brain cannot go so fast. Okay? It doesn't make sense at the beginning because you're overwhelmed with information and you get sick and you're nauseated and you quit. Okay? So at the beginning, you get the lay of the land of the language. I always use a bloody paper method. Okay? There are people that rack their brain. I have this for Russian. Does it work? Yes, possibly there is a better method. This is the one I know, am aware of. I am quite sure that it works. But you need to follow the method. I spend, let's say, 70% of my learning time listening. That's the first rule. Fuck speaking. Fuck writing. I'm very clear about that. Oh, everybody has their system. No! There are commonalities. New ways of training allows new athletes to reach new records. Okay? Oh, they have new shoes, they have new apparel, but also for swimming. So don't think I have my way, you have your way, better than doing nothing. But let's be flexible enough to say if somebody took the time to write a method, and those people are supposedly linguists and experts, follow the method. A new method, not grammar and exercises just like this. I strongly recommend. I know Asimov, surely there are new. Be aware there are some methods I used to teach. They are geared towards classroom teaching. That means you need a teacher, like Headway for English. You cannot learn English through buying yourself Headway method, even with recording and learning. That's for a course, okay? Most of methods are not like this. If you go to a bookshop or bookstore, if you can't go there, I will go when I'm halfway through this. I will go to the, or even I can buy now and keep it aside. I don't want to eat more than what I can chew. If you go to a store and you can leaf through, maybe find the one that is also appealing to your eyes, makes you, this is very appealing. It has glossy pages, it has sketches and funny thing. Even the text is kind of ironic in a way. I bought and I spent some money, not a huge amount of money, 71 euros with the recording. Very important nowadays. You have CDs, even MP3, and you can. There is a time in you over here, so to speak, time that we are more focused, and time when you read the lesson. I also read the lesson, and I usually in the new lessons, and I read the notes and everything. I say 70%, but 30% I read and I check. So many times people expect, there are times when you are ready to give up. It's annoying, you expect and you forget. Learning a language is learning and forgetting, learning and forgetting. Like, it's part of the course. You're bound to forget. You're bound to make mistakes every time you are in uncharted land. Every time you use a new expression, you think, sometimes you would expect something and it's like this. Many times it's not like this. We make mistakes. Be sure that every time you say something you're not sure of, you're speaking with a person that is able and willing to correct you. Use a block notes, use an exercise book, take note, because memory is a sieve, really. And read several times and go over what you've been writing. Be sure that not only it's spelled right, but you know how to pronounce it. Some languages is easy, Greek is easier, there's a stress. Usually, if you know how it's written, you know how to pronounce, not the other way around. But anyway, try to learn following a path. A good method is a path. Then if you a method doesn't cover anything, try and go through a new method from scratch very fast, because you've been learning, and maybe 10-15% of the other method is different, and you learn other new words, other new things till you're familiar with the language. I've been studying Russian for 45 days. in the following lesson there is the word how to say cold, a very basic word that sounds like English. I read. I don't. Okay, I'm not in a hurry. The method will lead me, but only if I've been going over the method many times, reviewing. Don't go push forward just for the hell of it. I mean, it's 45 days. I'm lesson 20. Let's say up to 15. I've absorbed, because that's what happens. I go and I always review. So the first lessons are familiar. Concerning the pronunciation, I am right in the middle. You shouldn't pronounce like your own language. Being perfect is next to impossible. Try to find an acceptable pronunciation that is, let's say, 60-70% of the perfect pronunciation. To attain this 67%, you have to study like you want 90%. So be very fussy and you will be good. If you try to be extra fussy and sticklers for details, and to do that you have to have this kind of attitude, very proud, you will not go anywhere, because I think that some things our brain need continuous exposure. That means you shouldn't speak like shit from the beginning. You have an acceptable pronunciation. That means, yeah, with a thick foreign accent at the beginning, but not so thick that the person wouldn't understand you. So be very sure, be certain. Be sure to distinguish the single sounds. Don't make a sound of a language like another sound of the language and conflate them together, because that is a recipe for disaster. It's like in Italian we have the word cacio, which is a kind of cheese, and we have the word cazzo, which is penis in a vulgar way, dick, cock, whatever. And in some languages, in Greek, many times they pronounce Greek. Not very good learners of Italian, not all Greek people, but there are some ones that do say confuse the ts with the ch. So if they want some cheese, a kind of cheese called cacio, which is by the way the same origin of the word cheese, only the Italian specific cheese, not generally speaking. We have formaggio from forma, the same more or less fromage French. He wants some cheese, but he orders dick. Okay, the same thing happens for Italian who don't distinguish O from O, R from O. So instead of ordering a coke, they order a cock, the same thing. So you should be able to pronounce single sounds differently, approximate. Sometimes Russian is very difficult because it's written in a way, then according to the stress you should pay attention to this. Don't gloss over fast and you find yourself, it's like a war. You don't attack the enemy if you don't have all their, I forgot the word, even in Italian, all the ammunition, water and food. Okay? So if you push forward, be sure that you're not going too fast. When I have a language change, now for the most part I speak Italian and English, not Russian. It's a big problem because most people are not able to help absolute beginners. I showed in another video you should use realia, your face, your gesture, whatever, to help the other person if it's an absolute beginner who doesn't even know how to say yes, no, or thank you. And that happens. Don't take anything for granted. I am able, but yeah, I've been doing that. I've been reading books and I've been watching videos about new theories, crashing about language learning. So the gist of it is, don't be discouraged if you find yourself in hot water. Either you've been learning badly or you went too fast for your brain to absorb everything. Better to repeat more than what it takes than the opposite. Obviously, one thing is we should study, better said, be exposed to the language more than our rate of forgetting. We always forget. It's like a bucket with a hole in it. In order to make it full, you have to add at least more water in that amount of time than the water that gets out, slips out. Makes sense. So study, be exposed even a little bit every day, but be sure your forgetting is not faster than your learning. Otherwise, you will find yourself always at the same place. You're treading water, basically. Many times we quit because basically we're not motivated. It's normal, there's nothing wrong with it. Nobody obligates us to learn a foreign language. It shouldn't be like this. Sometimes people need English. Yeah, they learn up to a certain level and then they decide, oh, even if I speak badly, who gives a shit? I play the cornet. I want to play the cornet. That's what I want to do. That's what I do. Too many languages, problem. I speak Italian and Greek, English, Italian, and Greek in order. And then I'm learning Russian, and I know my Greek is going. I don't have enough time. So I keep it alive. So know that you need to have priorities. What is the language you like most? I need priorities of Italian because I'm in Italy. Okay, I use English on a daily basis. I need English. Russian in the long run. Greek, I want to keep it alive. I'm not going to speak it. Ne, porona na milisën nikata ne hoprobin e auta miloja bla plagmata. Alla po, thes milusa yakati e ke kseha sa poliorkia in lexipu ndaxi denine. Aparetiti alla saftiti ingadasa si puzume ston gosmo, sto gaza, ne, iten lexipu borina in echrissimi. Ja tu selnes pume vlepun. Αυτά ήθελα να πω. Βλέπω όταν έχω... Τώρα μιλώ ελληνικά. I didn't realize I was speaking again Greek. That happens when you have languages well settled in your mind. I want you to say that when I have a language exchange with Russian and things, I notice one thing. Most of people learn the language the wrong way, so they can speak. I understand them. They have a working knowledge with the language. Listen to me. Many times we understand, even if there is a big mistake. It's the context of the other words, and we are able to reconstruct with our mind. Do we want to have that knowledge of the language, or do we want to speak properly? Many persons push forward, as I say, in their learning the language, having a poor, mastering poorly the phonetics, so they speak badly, basically they speak like shit, the sounds. they make sometimes very stupid mistakes. Try to check everything you say. I always have doubts. Many times I have doubts about things that, yeah, I had a doubt, but what I had in my mind was right. Check. Now we have internet, we can check. I many times use Google Translate, not to translate because many times translation is bad, but pronunciation wise is quite good. And I say the phrase in Russian. If I don't pronounce like shit, they get it and then they pronounce the right way. Not every time. Sometimes they make grammar errors with the Russian. But it's faster than my recording, and I prefer learning through pictures. If you're looking for a new word, instead of translating, look at the pictures, images. I see many people don't take the time to try to understand the word. Look at the translation. Don't look fucking translation. If you have to look it, don't look at the translation. Look at monolingual. Look up in a monolingual dictionary, whether it is physical, real, or online. Don't jump the gun. Don't try. They don't let me explain. You need in real life to be able to have an insight, when people try to explain things to you. I'm able most of the times. It will take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. There's not lost time in that, because you've been exposed to explain in the language they are learning. I use other words. It's a very good exercise. Unless you have to speak up about a specific rare animal or the name of a specific tree. You can use images, but a person is not able to see, you need to use a dictionary. That's what I wanted to say. I know it's common sense, but it's not everywhere. I see many people make very stupid mistakes. They want to speak the language Russian. It will take at least 1 year for me to say what I'm, not even what I'm saying now, but half of what I'm saying now in simple words. It will take 1 year if everything pans out. It can take 1 year and a half, no more than that. If it takes 2 years, I'm doing something wrong. But take your time. Take your bloody time. Sometimes going slowly, most of the times at the beginning, will assure you a very good grasp of sounds, and when you speak, you don't have to think, you don't have to grasp the straws. Every time you speak, you feel uncomfortable, something's wrong. There's a degree of, it's not your language, it's acceptable. But you are anxious, people don't understand you, you don't cut a fine figure, there is a problem there. That's why I interrupted speaking. I don't want to speak Russian now. I can read what I've been studying, I can correct my pronunciation. I'm like a baby who still doesn't speak, but slowly and steadily is absorbing information that at a certain point will make us able, or will make him or her as able to speak. So even though the hardest language is spoken by 2-year-old babies, so think that if a baby who's 2-year-old can say and be understood in a way, obviously a 2-year-old has a very basic knowledge, but I strive for that kind of knowledge and then grow, then build up on that. Okay, thanks for watching. Do the right thing every day. Don't be obsessed, but neither too careless. Take your time, listen. Then when it's over, it's over. You do other stuff. I don't think about Russian. No, I know that every day I will, anytime, I will not have to force myself to open the book, read things, then put it aside and listen to the recording. It will become very, everything we do on a steady basis, we get adjusted to it. And goodbye.